It's Classeek 15 and you're very welcome here. I'm Jack Pepper, composer, radio presenter and author, and guiding you through these 15-minute bite-sized chats with classical music insiders. The aim, hopefully, to give you some perspectives that maybe don't get shared so often. From music psychologists to journalists, this is a bit of a one-stop shop for careers advice in classical music. Now, continuing in parallel is our sister programme Insights by Classeek. This is a video library available by subscription with extended filmed interviews spotlighting specific aspects of a classical career. Now, that includes a whole series on media and PR. So, let's get a small flavour of that with Insights guest Erica Worth. She's the editor of Pianist Magazine, and soon we'll be talking about changing trends in music journalism, her young artist pet peeves, how to approach an editor for coverage, and life studying in Manhattan. But I began by asking Erica to introduce Pianist Magazine in a nutshell.
It's an 84-page magazine, and it's aimed at the adult amateur pianist, but it's really aimed at the amateur pianist. Beginner, intermediate, advanced. It's really a hobby magazine. In the center of it, there are 38 pages of scores. So every single person who reads this magazine plays the piano. Aside from that, there's interviews with the top pianists, there's reviews, there's interesting features about composers, about interpretation, lots of lessons on how to improve your, let's say, technical things such as scales, arpeggios, tone, whatever. So it's a very friendly magazine. It's in print, it's digital, of course, as well. We've got loads of lessons online as well. We have a YouTube channel. We've got 106,000 subscribers at the moment. So we do a whole load of things, but the actual magazine is, I think I've rounded it up. Have I rounded it up?
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, it's quite a lot to summarise because you've been involved with it from the start, haven't you? Since 2001, you've been the editor.
Absolutely. Yeah, I launched it. My goodness, I can't believe I'm on issue number 146.
How has it changed in that time? In 146 issues, what are the biggest changes?
Well, the whole digital thing has taken, everything, the online, the whatever. We do newsletters, podcasts, everything. I mean, you can now listen to the tracks because the actual print copy comes along with a CD, and people still listen to a CD. So all the sheet music inside that you can learn is recorded by a concert pianist. So you can listen to all those pieces. So you can listen before you learn, which is a great learning tool. So if you buy the digital issue, then you press a button and up it comes, the sound file. But you can also listen to it on Spotify, on YouTube. So it's this whole online digital thing that's taken off.
And how has it changed your role and your mindset? From a music journalist point of view, from your side of the equation, how has it changed for you?
Oh, I just have to be much more multifaceted. I just have to be open to change, which I have done. Before it was purely a magazine, a print magazine, full stop. Now, yes, I've still got the magazine, but I do one podcast every 2 weeks. I write newsletters, blogs, whatever. So I'm still writing, but just it's going in all different directions, really, not just towards the magazine.
And that sounds like certainly something I sense from artists, young artists as well, that you have to be broad, you have to be able to turn your hand to different things. I mean, for me, I call it's the portfolio career, isn't it? It's the composer, the broadcaster, the writer. Is it something that you've seen among artists?
Well, you mean that they've got to be so broad-minded? They can't just sit there and play. They've got to be this, they've got to be that.
Yeah,
but it depends. Some artists get away with doing nothing, others blossom within their by doing lots of stuff on Instagram, on all types of social media. It depends about the character and also who's managing them. Some artists might be quite introverted and it might scare them to be doing this. Some people don't like social media still. I mean, there's no right or wrong, I don't think. Of course it helps. I think it helps. If you want to get your name out there, it does help, especially to people who might not be aficionados of the classical music scene. You might bring in new listeners, people who might suddenly grow to love classical music because of something you've put out there, a performance, an interview.
And how important are those things to catch your attention when you're thinking about a particular pianist to interview or feature in the magazine? How important is it to have whether it's a social media presence or a manager or a label? What are the things that you take into consideration?
Primarily, it's the merit of the way the person plays. We have to remember that. It's the talent. That's number one. But aside from that, then yes, I will go to Instagram. I will see how many followers they might have or a Facebook presence. But primarily, it's the way they play. Yes, it's great if I can do a podcast interview, if they speak English, if they don't answer me back with one sentence answers like, yes, I do, no, I don't. But most people, and of course, you are drawn towards people with podcasts and things that are going to be a rather interesting interviewee. So yeah, it's difficult really, but you have to remember at the end of it all, you want the real artist. You want to be promoting that special artist. But there's loads of all different types of artists out there, aren't there?
Are there examples of artists that you've interviewed or you've profiled who have just done something that really impressed you or took you by surprise in the way they presented themselves or the kind of project they were talking about? Is there a particular kind of example maybe from recently maybe that you've come across?
Oh, that's very difficult. I'd say Charles Owen was a very colourful pianist that I interviewed recently. I'm trying to look at all my recent issues. I mean, they're all different. You get to learn. Margaret Fingerhut is another one, just because of her rare repertoire. I learn a lot about some of their amazing repertoire. I mean, it totally depends. Francesco Piemontesi, the current cover artist. I actually haven't done a podcast with him yet, but I love the way he talks about merging languages with music. And yeah, there's always something you learn from an artist, no matter what. But I can't say really. I haven't done a podcast with Yu John Wang, for example. I can't imagine what she'd be like. But I have, of course, interviewed Lang Lang a few times, and he's a very, very colourful character.
And what can help a pianist or a young person going into an interview, that conversation with a journalist? Are there certain things that you would advise somebody if they're maybe not used to doing interviews, but they're going into one for the first time? What might help?
Well, what might help is maybe jotting a few things down before they do that interview. And maybe, I don't know what form the interview will take, but maybe they might even say, I'd really love you to ask me about this. Can we maybe talk about that? So that they don't miss anything. And also in an interview, they can steer the person that's interviewing them. They can go off on a tangent and they get across what they want to get across. I think it's good to have a few solid points they really want to talk about.
In other words, don't be afraid of owning it. It's not all just you're turning up and then being led. You can lead too.
100%. And I think the interviewer will appreciate that. It makes their life easier too. If the artist in front of you is really talking about things you didn't even think you were going to ask them, and that does happen a lot. Really, it happens a lot. And I love that on a podcast. It goes off, woo. And you think, wow, this is great. I've really learned something because I didn't read that on their bio or their whatever, So yeah, let them be in control.
On the flip side, any pet peeves if you're interviewing somebody? Absolutely, please don't do this to make my life easier from Erica. What would you say?
I'd just say, please don't just answer me yes and no. But it's very rarely happened. I think maybe once, and it wasn't me, it was one of my journalists who interviewed a pianist, and we couldn't really run with it because the answers were so yes and no, and there's nothing you can do there. But I think most pianists, old, young, advanced, less advanced, you've got so much to say about the piano because you've obviously grown up learning the piano. There's so much, isn't there, to talk about? So I don't think it's intimidating to be interviewed at all. They should enjoy it. They should think, yes, wow, I'm the centre of attention.
Have you, in terms of sort of the wider kind of musical scene then, do you get regular invitations by young pianists, young artists to go to concerts? Is that, what does the live music scene look like for you and approaches from artists?
Asked a lot, and I look forward to going, and I try to go to as much as I can. And I don't mind that at all. I mean, I might be busy, I might get lots of emails, but actually I will read each email. And I have to say, as long as it's interestingly written, emails that I really don't like to get are emails that I know they've sent to everybody, and it says hello. It doesn't say dear Erica or hello Erica. It's always nice if somebody says hello Erica, I like your magazine or something. So they're making it personal. So if they're making it personal straight away, you will read it.
Yeah, I've sometimes had somebody write to me and then they've named the wrong radio station. They go, "I love listening to you on." It's typical, isn't it? And that's quite often a PR actually, rather than an artist. So it's worth checking as well. You know, that if you have somebody working on your behalf, what they're sending out, because the detail gives a lot of detail away, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, yeah, as long as it's kind of directed towards you and they make it interesting, coherent, it doesn't have to be that long, and with a nice title, a nice header email that makes, oh, that sounds interesting.
Was it always your plan? You know, when you were a child, what were your ambitions?
As a child, I wanted to be a concert pianist, but and a lot of other things. I wanted to be a ballet dancer as well and an actress. But no, I pursued the concert pianist thing, and as soon as I quit my education at Manhattan School of Music, I decided no way. It was just so easy, so easy. I just didn't think I had everything that it took, and there were no regrets whatsoever. So yeah, then I had to find out what I wanted to do.
Was it something that Manhattan School of Music taught you then? Was that a period to decide very much what you didn't want to be as well? What did you learn there?
I loved being a student. I loved being at Manhattan School of Music. I had such fun. My teachers were great. But then it's almost like I graduated. I played Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 3 as my whatever concerto examination thing. And you know what? There was such a sense of relief when I'd finished that it's almost like I thought, I've done it. And I just don't want to carry on doing this. It's really weird. Also, I had a bit of tragedy. My mother died while I was doing my study. So maybe that could have done something to me in that respect. I don't know. She was my biggest fan. Maybe by losing that biggest fan, I just realized I didn't actually have it in me, that drive to be a concert pianist, which you need to have.
And did that take some coming to terms? If it had been a childhood dream, or was it quite sudden? No, I'm changing goal. What did it look like?
It was bizarre. It was like I closed the lid, and honestly, I didn't touch the piano for about 3 years. I came back to the UK and I honestly thought, what am I going to do after all this training? And I have to be honest, I came to London. I'm from Nottingham, and I came to London and I got a temping job at EMI Records, stuffing jiffy bags. Those were the days where we used to send out CDs to all the reviewers. I was sitting at a desk doing odd jobs that nobody wanted to do. And it just so happened that they offered me a job after a couple of months of temping. And that's how it began. Because I think they knew how much I knew about music. I think they were quite surprised that I had so much knowledge of music. So that's how it all began, really.
But did studying piano equip you? I mean, obviously for a magazine called Pianist, but just generally the life you lead now, how did studying piano teach you things that are helpful?
Everything. I mean, I've got all my sheet music up on a shelf right here that I refer to for the magazine, torn, and it's got notes in it, from my student days. Actually, it's quite amazing. I must do something with it. But I know all this repertoire, and I had wonderful lessons and masterclasses and things, and that's taken me through. And I'm still learning. That's the beauty of music, isn't it? You're still learning no matter where you're going or what career you choose to take. But everything you've learned, you will carry on throughout your life. If you stay in music, and of course I stayed in music, and I knew I couldn't go into another field, completely different field. But if you stay in music, it'll always come in useful, whatever you learned.
And sometimes you don't realise it was useful, do you? You suddenly realise that when you go to a reception or you interview somebody, you're drawing on knowledge that you were reading for pleasure and you didn't see it as research, but suddenly it becomes research, doesn't it?
Totally. I mean, you could be like talking about somebody's Rachmaninoff Preludes latest disc, and you suddenly realise you learnt 2 of those preludes, and then you can say, well, that left-hand part, oh, he did it wonderfully, and people are like, wow, how does she know? But of course I studied them, so I would know. But yeah, it's amazing when that happens.
There's the carrot. There's the homework from this, Erica. Just finally then, what would be your top tip? I'm very conscious, somebody listening, I mean, we could have somebody who wants to become a music journalist. So your top tip for somebody wanting to be a music journalist, and then separately somebody wanting to be a concert pianist, say, what would be your golden nugget from what you've learned?
Okay, for a aspiring journalist, I would send a copy of what you've written. It could be an interview with somebody, it could be an article, education article, anything. Send it to all as many people as you know, or if you don't know, if somebody wrote to me and said, I'd love to start writing for you. I'd love, could you please read this article? I think it'd be fit well into your magazine. No obligation, but I've written it and I'd love your feedback, or I'd love you to print it if you think it's worthwhile, or print it on your website. I will always read it. And I tell you something, if I come across good writing, it's fantastic, because there aren't that many writers who know so much about piano. It's really hard finding good piano journalists. So, yeah, I would just start writing and sending out your work to people. Find out who the editors are of this and that and blah, blah, of online blogs and stuff, They will look at it, honestly. I would look at it.
It's very accessible and very visible in terms of email addresses and things. You just go to the editorial page or on the website.
And try to find the actual email address of the person you want to write to, rather than a contact thingy on the website, because that can go through to the wrong person, or it just feels less like they've done their research.
It comes back to the personalise it. Dear Erica, not just hello.
Exactly. 100%.
And your golden nugget for an aspiring pianist?
Well, it's really interesting, because I was speaking to Leif Ove Ansners the other day on a podcast, and he was waxing lyrical about his agent, who I know. And he said there's nothing like having a good agent, because they really do shape your career and they know what's right for you and whatever. So I would say try and find a good agent, but that's hard. I know, that's really hard. But how to find a good agent? It's really difficult. Maybe you can find somebody who thinks you play really well, and they can speak to your agent. Let's say it could be a piano teacher, you've had a masterclass with somebody who's quite well known. Maybe they could write to the agent on your behalf. I don't know. It's hard. How to become a pianist? How to become a performer? Not easy. It just sounds a bit gloomy.
It builds your team, in other words, and the team can be your supporters. It could be a journalist who really believes in you, who you invite to a concert, then they put you in touch. It's ultimately keeping people posted and inviting them to your concerts and finding your champions, and an agent is one of them.
Absolutely, an agent is one of them. And finding as many people around you. Some people, everybody's different the way they get into it.
Well, there's plenty of wisdom from this chat, Erica. I would say it's worthwhile. Did you see what I did there? Erica worthwhile. Erica, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It was lovely to speak to you.
And there's plenty more from Erica on Insights by Classeek. It's a video library of extended chats available to you by subscription at insights.classeek.com. Thanks so much for dropping into this Classeek 15. Jack Pepper signing off for now, but really hope to see you again soon.